Army veteran, New York State law enforcement officer, and instructor, NRA and USCCA trainer, counselor, and podcaster, Matt Mallory from Meet the Pressers is next.
But first, if you have if you own a gun in California, you should have an attorney that specializes in California gun laws on your speed dial. Why? Because if you ever have a legal matter that involves firearms, you need California's firearm lawyer, John Dillon, especially if you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant. Our trusted firearms attorney is John Dillon. John specializes in California gun laws. Put his number on your phone right now, 760-642-7150. That's John Dillon's California firearms lawyer, 760-642-7150. Do it now.
All right, let's talk to Matt Mallory. We just give a little introduction, and what a resume. That's very, very impressive. Matt, are you there?
I'm here, sir. How are you?
Good, man. You got a lot of titles and bullet points and whatnot on your resume. That's awesome.
I always make the joke in my classes that I forget to put overachiever on the list of things I do.
Well, what an honor. I really, truly appreciate you coming on the show and being with us, and thank you for all you do. Second Amendment.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. So let's talk. Tell us, everybody, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, and then let's start talking about Meet the Pressers.
Sure. So my background, I guess I started playing with BB guns at a young age and archery as well. I think my first BB gun under the Christmas tree, like most kids from the 80s.
Yeah.
And
what was it?
From that,
you remember what it was?
Daisy Road Rider.
There you go.
Absolutely.
I think it was the Christmas of I'm going to say it was 1986. It was that Christmas that I got it. Anyway.
Probably right. So I went from there to into the military and spent 3 years active and then a little bit of National Guard before and after. So I did that, got out, ran a Arby's restaurant in my early 20s in North Carolina, and then we moved back to New York. My wife and I and our children moved back to New York and started doing more tech stuff because my background's been tech since high school. I was BOCES electronic technology and then got degrees. Then from there, kind of transitioned into teaching gun safety and stuff for the Boy Scouts and for Civil Air Patrol and Hunter Ed, and realized that I was good at it, or at least people told me I was good at it, and figured I could make a career out of it. So about 15 years ago, I switched over to doing it full-time, teaching versus doing tech stuff, and it's done me good.
What did you do for the military?
It's 31 uniforms. So I guess I never realized this, but I guess they changed the MOS over the years. So when I say 31 uniform now, people think military police, but it wasn't. I was radio comms, radio communication.
So I think there's let's talk about something real quick. I just had a conversation last week with an instructor. I think there's an important place for instructors with no military background, and I don't mean they never served in the military, but that's not where they learned about guns. I think that there's a strong and great place for guys that carried a gun in the military, and that's where they learned. But I really think that there's an important perspective from guys that learned everything, guys and girls, women who learned everything they know about guns as a civilian. I think it's really important. I don't know. Do you think am I making a mountain out of a molehill, or do you think that there's an important difference?
No, I think 1,000% you're spot on. A lot of people, in one benefit, it's helped me tremendously because people see military law enforcement, current law enforcement instructor, chief of a town, director of a peace officer academy. So, I'm ingrained in that part-time, but still ingrained in that. And, people are like, oh, wow, you must know everything about it. And honestly, you're hit the nail on the head. It's more so I know a lot more civilian instructors or civilian shooters that shoot better or teach better than law enforcement or military instructors.
Or at least different. And by the way, I go see every military vet, every SEAL, Army Ranger, Green Beret, go take their classes. I just think that there is an important difference in the perspective between the two. So
I think you learn from every person that teaches you, because no two people teach the same. So the more you can get taught, I think it just broadens your horizons.
Yeah, I just realized I realized that I was going to get a bunch of emails and Text. Like, hey, man, I was a SEAL. You're ruining my business.
Yeah.
Go see those guys.
Well,
100%.
And I think, that's a good point as far as, getting different perspectives from different people. And, Masad Ayub, Tom Gibbons, all these major instructors that have been around, the old guard, the OG, they take classes from other instructors. They go and take classes. So, and I have that every year. I try to do at least 100 to 150 hours, if not more, of training under other instructors, just so I can kind of see maybe a different way of saying it, or if there's something that I've missed all these years, to put a different spin on it, to get it across, because we all learn differently.
Or something new. Somebody comes up with something that you didn't think about, or maybe it was right there. I mean, you can never stop learning.
For sure. And good example of that would be red dot sights, RDSs. The teacup, going from a teacup or a cup and saucer to a 2 thumbs forward, stacked thumbs. I mean, just those two right there are good examples of old school to new school. And then current day, changing over from, iron sights to red dot.
Right.
I mean, it was just in our lifetime that they were still teaching cops to shoot with one hand, Yeah.
Or Weaver.
And things have changed so much. I haven't really seen like the 4 rules. I haven't really seen like a history of the 4 rules, but I don't think the 4 universal rules are all that old. I really think that really started to take off in, I'm going to say, the late 80s. And I don't think people realize that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but.
No, I think you're about right. I know it was, what was it? Gunsight, Colonel Jeff Cooper. That was the 60s, right? 60s or 70s.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he kind of massaged it back then, but I don't think he massaged those rules back when it was founded. I think it was, a little bit later on. But yeah, I think you're right. It was probably 70s or 80s, if I would assume.
Matt, when I was a kid, I was taught one rule. Teach every gun as if it's, or treat every gun as if it's loaded, even if you know it's not.
Right.
That was it.
Totally.
And if you think about it, that's kind of.
What more do you need?
The other 3 are kind of repetitive. They're kind of redundant.
Yeah.
If you're just doing that, you're not going to do the other 3. But then somewhere along the way in the 90s, the other 3 came along. But anyway, and by the way, I'm elated. I'm so happy that that gun philosophy and shooting tech has come so far in really just a generation. I think it's awesome.
For sure.
Well, it's a lot of
classes.
Yeah, but it's a lot of hard work by instructors trying to educate the masses the true story of gun ownership.
Well, I got a neat little way to say that to my students. I've been blessed to have a student of mine build me 2, not just 1, but if you watch Meet the Pressers, you'll see in the backdrop the Second Amendment on a huge wooden sign. And it's just a tree slab that he burned in the Second Amendment into it.
Wow.
So I have that in the backdrop on the show, but I also have it in my classroom. And I'll make a joke about it to make people realize that in every class that I teach. And I'll point to the Second Amendment. I'll say, the Second Amendment isn't about hunting. Even though there's the word bear in it, our founding fathers didn't mean that type of bear.
No, they didn't. I don't think they did.
And then I'll say it's about tyranny, keeping our government from turning into a tyranny, and self-defense, why you are here. Right. Yes, self-defense against 2-legged animals, but also 4-legged if need be.
Right.
That's interesting. So tell us about Meet the Pressers. What exactly is Meet the Pressers? If someone's never heard of it before, how would you describe it?
Sure. So 5-ish years ago, maybe a little bit longer, one of my employees and I, Pat Kimball, started doing an audio podcast. We did a few episodes of it, really didn't know where to publish it, didn't know much about it at that time. Then we did a YouTube show called the PSN Ed Show, which is my training company, Public Safety and Education. And that Pat ended up getting a job close to his house, so we ended up putting on the back burner. I was down in Pennsylvania. Clint Macker was hosting UTM for a level 2 instructor course. And he goes, hey, what's up with your show? And I was like, well, I put it on the back burner. Pat took a job closer to his house. And so he's like, well, you can't let that go. Sounds like you need a co-host. I go, are you offering? Because I'm not doing it on my own.
There you go.
And he goes, absolutely. So that was around April. We're into our fifth season now, going into our fifth season. So
voluntold him.
Yeah. Well, and Clint's a marketer extraordinaire. So, he's out there pushing it just like I am, and trying to get the word out, educate people and such. So it was a good fit. And we decided to get together. We changed over the years as far as, is it going to be a, one show a week? Is it going to be an hour long, a half an hour long? So we've kind of played with that over the years. And, but it's always been pretty much anybody that wants to be on the show, come up with a topic, and the only prerequisite is they have to have shot guns. And if I really want them on the show, I'll take them out and have them shoot a gun just to make sure we meet our
Right.
prerequisite.
What's your favorite part about having the podcast and getting to talk to folks?
I think getting to know people and meet people and kind of, just bring their story to our listeners and our viewers. It's kind of humbling to have some of the people that we've had on, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, Lieutenant Colonel David Grossman. We had George Zimmerman on the show as well. And, a lot of the big names, Larry Vickers, Jeff Gonzalez has been on, Tom Gibbons, Masad Ayub.
Who was your favorite interview? What's one that sticks out?
Goodness.
Michael Schwartz.
Yeah, right.
Don't back out of that one, brother. Take it and run with it.
Yeah, right. What? Who's somebody that really stood out where you were just like, man, can't believe how interesting that was?
You don't have to answer that.
Maybe we'll come back to it.
Yeah, I think you should.
Matt, you there?
Oh, nice.
Great, Dave.
Nice
you
board
scared him
op.
off the show.
No, that was our board op. We didn't pay.
How?
Oh, there he is.
Oh, he's back.
My earpiece died. My earpiece died.
Now that's,
How
man.
timingful was that?
Nah, dude, we're high dollar. There's no way this thing could go down.
All right, so let's say before we go to a break and talk to you on the other side, who's somebody you really enjoyed? Who's an interview you really liked?
The Thomas Yoxall was probably one of the most tear-jerking interviews, because we talked about his altercation with the illegal alien who was trying to kill the trooper, and he shot the illegal alien, and his head exploded like a piñata. It was really traumatizing. So I think that's one that I reference a lot in my classes. Almost always in my classes, I let my students understand that and I've got a thing I call the 4 horses of your apocalypse. So criminal, civil, mental, and jury of public opinion. And that mental aspect, a lot of people don't understand how they're mentally going to change if they pull that trigger. Not if they need to, pull it.
Yeah, but boy, you're going to just get ready for a change.
It could change everything. Yep.
Hey, folks. Orange County Gun Owners is dedicated to preserving and restoring Orange County and self-defense rights. And if you live in Orange County and want to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, you need to join ocgunowners.com/join. Orange County Gun Owners is the Do Something organization to restore and defend our Second Amendment. Volunteer at our shooting social, at a gun shop and tabletop, and help more pro-gun local officials get elected. Save the date. Orange County Gun Prom is May 20th. Become a member today. That's ocgunowners.com/join. Welcome back to Matt Mallory. How you doing, buddy?
Awesome. How are you?
Cool.
Fantastic. So where do people find your podcast?
So meetthepressers.com, and then from there it takes you to all the platforms. We just got listed on Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV every Wednesday at 7 p.m. So we're excited about that. We got listed through the Opslands app, so we'll be we're airing episodes for the past couple months now doing that. So it's been good.
So what's presser? What does that mean?
Pressing the trigger. So meet the pressers, people who shoot guns. Press the trigger.
Mike figured that out immediately.
So
I'm impressed.
you don't pull a trigger. You certainly don't yank it. You press.
You don't slap it. You don't jerk it. You don't stutter it.
Just somebody needs to call Alex or Alec.
Oh.
Somebody needs to call that guy. I mean, come on. Somebody needs to call
the
that
trigger.
guy.
It was the hammer, he said. He said it was the hammer.
Well, now they're saying the gun was modified and it was designed to go off by itself.
Well, charges were just dropped,
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm saying, because somebody convinced somebody that it was modified to go off all by itself. With live rounds, by the way.
Wow. So
that cost them to get that dropped.
So meet the pressers. I like that a lot. What
I do too. That's cool.
What? Tell us about you just got to tase somebody, didn't you?
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Talk about that. Tell everybody you got to tase Commander Dale Brown from
I did.
UST. Talk a little bit about.
Wait a minute,
who he is.
Commander, you zapped a perfectly good stranger, and he wasn't attacking you. Cool.
He was not. His back was actually turned to me, so it's,
Ooh, that had to hurt. Have you ever been tased?
Yeah, Yeah, twice. And the second time I got tased was in September. So I was out in Arizona getting certified as a master civilian instructor for taser for Axon.
Yeah, so you got
And right after that, I went over to New Mexico, and I did a spoof video with Master Ken, Matt Page. He has the YouTube show Meridote. So I tried to tase him, but he caught the probes in his mouth.
Whoa, really? Hey, well, Michael really, really wants to get tased.
No,
but he can't find anybody that'll do it for him.
I've been there.
I'll do it.
No, you have not.
In high school,
you were never tased.
No, I gotta tell you,
stun gun.
Me and my buddy. Yeah, it was one of those. I guess it was. It was one of those like. It had like a little bolt of lightning, you know. And we bought it. Me and my buddy. I was like 16. We were both like 16. We bought it from the back of like a comic book.
Sure.
You know,
well, with right next to the see-through glasses.
Yeah, you know. So I don't think it was all that hardcore. But we're sitting there screwing around with this thing, and then it turned into do it, you know. and we both did it. That was the dumbest thing ever. If you're 16 and you're listening, don't do that.
Right. Long lasting effects.
Yeah.
Well into your 40s and 50s.
Yeah, but it's important. But you know, if you're going to be an instructor, I mean, you kind of got to know what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, with law enforcement, it's highly suggested, and then they razz you if you don't. So that's the first time I got done. It was like 15 or so years ago, and I decided to do it. And then that was the X26 back then. And then this time it was at Axon headquarters, and they had the new 7. And oh my goodness,
got your attention.
My back is still hurting every once in a while. Like it rains and my back hurts. I'm like, why is my? Oh, that's right, I got tased. But so I sent the video of me and Master Ken, Matt Page, doing that spoof, and I posted it, and a couple of people sent me messages and said, "Oh, you know who you should tase next? Dale Brown." And I was like, no. So I sent Dale. I texted Dale the video of me and Master Ken, and Dale's like, "I'll get tased." I was like, "Okay, all right." So when I was up in Michigan teaching a class a few weeks ago, and I coordinated to be able to stop by there. We also did a duel. So we did a saber launcher pepper ball gun and a Byrna pepper ball gun duel.
That's cool. Who won?
Well, we did 2 duels. We both hit each other the first time once, and then the second time I hit him twice, and he missed me completely. So I would say I won.
You won. Congratulations. That's clean. So is a taser the one that has the little needle projectiles? Is that what's the difference between a taser and a stun?
Right, exactly. People there's direct touch compliance. It's pain compliance. So direct touch, you have to touch somebody with it, and people call those, and they're typically called stun guns, even though they don't look like a gun. They usually look like a flashlight nowadays. The tasers, what people call tasers, are because taser's the original inventor of it, so that's why. So technically, the ones that shoot the probes is what people call a taser. But it gets even more confusing because taser also makes stun guns that don't look like guns that are theirs and have their name on it. So, but basically, if you have to touch somebody with it, then that's a pain compliance device. If you shoot it and probes fly out of it, then that is a NMI, neuromuscular incapacitation, and that's the one that locks people up where they can't move.
Right, and that's really the one. That's really the one you want, because if you're getting up close to where you're touching the person with it, there's a good chance you could end up being in a really bad situation.
For sure. Yep, definitely. So the probe one, the actual one that does NMI, is going to be the most effective.
And if you notice, you got to be really careful, because the worst thing, folks, I don't want you to run out and buy one tomorrow. You know, unless you've had some extensive training on how to utilize, I think, both a stun as well as a taser, then it would just be a bad idea. Don't you agree, just to go out and buy one and have it just in case you're ready?
I mean, I just like a gun, you know, the training aspect. You don't know what you don't know, and it's better to get the training from somebody. And I do the end user training and law enforcement for both taser and saber pepper spray. So for both those companies, I'm a master instructor, both civilian and law enforcement. And I mean, the training is key. I mean, our daughter had sprayed pepper spray in her face because she didn't even know how to use it one time. Our youngest daughter, our middle daughter, and then the taser aspect of it. Just imagine, stunning yourself or tasing yourself, and then it locks you up and you fall and hit your head on the floor. That's just not good. Or crap your pants. I mean, any of that stuff.
Yeah, well, let's not go there.
We had years ago. I had the dog got a hold of a pepper spray bottle.
Oh,
yeah, but
right
was completely unaffected. We just found, found it or by the time we found it, she'd already worked her way through it or whatever. But it was it was in the carpet, so we got a carpet cleaner, and I don't think he understood what he was dealing with. We told him, but then he was cleaning the carpet, and it shot all into his face while he was cleaning it, and I'm like, oh, geez. So it was pretty interesting.
Here comes another lawsuit.
Why are you crying? Stop crying.
Why are you crying, you big crybaby? You're supposed to be a carpet cleaner. Come on, get tough.
I did the whole. What did you do?
Oh my gosh, that's a terrible. So I know this is a question you probably can't answer, because I have people ask me all the time. I don't want to carry a gun. Should I get a taser? Should I get a stun gun? Should I get pepper spray? What should I get? What do you tell people?
Well, first off, I always tell people I coined a phrase called the MVP of tools. And we're all born with the MVP of tools: your mind, your voice, and your physical. I came up with that acronym because I think people sometimes forget that they have other tools at their disposal without these external tools. So that right off the get-go, use your mind. Like John Farnham says, don't go to stupid places with stupid people at stupid times and do stupid things so your life doesn't become stupid. And then from that, learn how to verbalize, because verbalization is going to create witnesses, going to hopefully get the bagger to stop what they're doing and oxygenate your blood so you don't go into the fecal position, rolled up on the floor with your thumb in your mouth. So that being said, that's the first aspect of that pitch that I try to convince my students. And then the next aspect of that is the trifecta of tools, and it's lethal, less lethal, medical. And in that order of precedence, the lethal is the thing that most people come to take classes from me for, but it's more likely they're going to use a medical thing at regular, average daily time. And then the less lethal, how many times do they not really focus on that? John Correa and there's a couple other instructors in the industry that say that 80% of the time, simple assaults are what you're going to encounter, and 20% of the time would be ability to use a firearm. Well, if you're carrying a gun and you have no less lethal, then you're prepared for 20% of the time. What do you do when you run into the 80%? So the pepper spray, but even the MVP, like using your mind, your voice, your physical, knowing how to do DT, defensive tactics, martial arts, stuff like that, on the physical aspect of it could be beneficial to you, where you might not need to, or you might not even be able to use pepper spray or a gun or taser because the person's too close.
Now, have you been in a defensive gun use situation or pepper spray or taser or anything in real time?
I have not, no. And I attribute that to me. I attribute that to me making good choices, I guess. I mean,
right.
I'm in the position with I've had situations where things could have escalated and I would have been justified in pulling the gun, but I was able to diffuse it. I was able to shut up and realize that whatever they're saying shouldn't get to me, and I don't need to poke the bear or stoke the fire and make this get worse. I've had lots of those altercations, but I've never had one where I had to pull the firearm. I've had many where I've dropped the hood on my firearm, but I've never had to pull it out. Thank God.
I think we were talking about these special ops guys, and one of the things I do, well, many things, but one thing that I think is great is a lot of these guys. They're as studly as it comes. These guys, and they served in combat and they're highly trained. And I'm seeing a lot of messages from them like, "Hey, I don't get in fights. It's not what I do. If something's happening, I turn around and walk away."
Right.
And I think that message is important, and I think that it is subtly more bravado. You know what I mean? If you can control yourself and not care about somebody's fight, and go, "Look, I so don't care about you. I'm just going to turn around and leave the situation." I think that's way more manly.
Well, I think the one that confronts has never confronted. And I don't think they realize what they're getting themselves into until they do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just in the level of training. I mean, my concern is if I responded to something, and they're going to judge, just like law enforcement. You see it all the time in the news, like, "Oh, they should have known better. That's excessive force. They didn't have to do that." And I'd rather not have that on my, looming over me and changing. Like the four horses of your apocalypse: that criminal, criminal, civil, mental, and jury of public opinion. That jury of public opinion, I mean, look at Kyle Rittenhouse. Look at George Zimmerman. Yeah. George Zimmerman just had to legally change his name, and he changed it to Pablo Escobar. I'm kidding.
Yeah. That's a good one.
But he did. He had to legally change his name.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Totally ridiculous.
But he's alive.
All right.
But
So,
he's alive. you
Are we
know?
throwing him out?
That's it. Thank you so much, my friend.
How do people follow you around?
Meetthepressers.com on publicsafetyeducation.com.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. If you're watching mainstream media, you're not getting the truth about guns. Gun Owners Radio is the easiest way to stay on top of the Second Amendment fight, the fight for your self-defense rights. You can watch our live stream on YouTube every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, or if you're in San Diego, AM 1170, FM 96.1, The Answer. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform. Just search Gun Owners Radio and you'll find our show. Like and subscribe to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.